Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, Ril Dil Quinn, recording this on a Tuesday. I'm back off vacation, off podcast vacation. This is episode 1014, just simply titled Vacation is Over. I did one mini podcast where I broke down, did continue the best of the 21st century. We looked at the movie. I absolutely forgot the movie that we looked at. That's I've been out the mix. The cowboy movie with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry. That's how. That's all. Listen. When you're out the mix, that's when you're out the mix, you start forgetting stuff like that. Like it's a great movie, by the way. The 310 to Yuma. 310 to Yuma. That's what the movie. This is horrible. The fact that I forgot that movie. Great movie. So great movie. So check out that podcast. Which is only about 20 minutes long, as we broke down probably the one of the best westerns of the 21st century, if not the best, right there with True Grit. There Will Be Blood was not a western, so I think absolutely right there with True Grit, and I don't consider the No Country for Old Men was not a western. That wasn't a western either in terms of classic westerns. But vacation's over. We are back. The NFL season, preseason, of course, is in full swing. What's going on actually on the field is not of much consequence to me. It's been these holdouts by these not holdouts, but these contractual disputes by NFC East players that has stood out the most. And let's begin right, in my backyard, the DMV, Terry McLaurin, who is still yet under contract. Now he's at camp. He has not been on the field, of course. Um, he wants to be paid like a top wide receiver. He wants to be paid like, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, guys of that ilk. The problem is he's 30 years old. He'll turn 31 during the season. And the history of 30-year-old receivers as they age is just not good in NFL history, to be honest with you. And you really look at this is a situation where I, I completely understand both sides. Terry McLaurin has been one of the best receivers in football, has been a legit top 10, 5 to 10 receiver in football over the past 5 years. Washington has had some awful teams. He is probably a legit top three. He may be the best receiver in football in terms of contested catches. He's right there, top 2 or 3 in terms of that. Outside of last year, he had some awful quarterbacks. So he knows that this is it as far as his last big contract. And he knows that he, outside Jaden Daniels, is by far the team's best offensive weapon outside Jaden Daniels. Well, best offensive player outside Jaden Daniels. He's their number one offensive weapon in terms of skill position players by far. So I get it. One last contract. You are thinking of yourself as a top wide receiver, but history in the 21st century has told us you don't pay guys when they hit 29 when they get with these major deals. None of these major deals have worked out. And you can look at it starting going back to 2017, Antonio Brown, 29, 4 years, $68 million. He gets traded to the Raiders in 2019. We know how that turned out. Even though he won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, his career just fell off the rails. Adam Thielen, 4 years, $64 million. 0 1,000-yard catch seasons during the deal, released in 2023. Julio Jones, 3 years, $66 million. That was his last 1,000-yard catch season in 2019, traded to 2021. Absolutely never the same player since then, and has retired since. Tyler Lockett, 2021, 4 years, $69 million. Um, his contract has got restructured in 2024. He's in the final year of his deal in 2025. Cooper Cup, 3 years, $80 million. He signed that deal following, of course, that historic Triple Crown season in 2021 when they won the Super Bowl. Missed 18 games in the last 3 seasons and was released in the offseason and signed by Seattle. Devontae Adams, 5 years, $140 million. 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons after that. But the Rams, he's with the Rams. That'll be his third team since that deal. And no longer a top receiver, by the way. Like, he's not a top player. Decent to very good, but not a top player. Stephon Diggs, 4 years, $96 million. Traded to the Texans after the second year of the deal. With the Bills, he ended his Bills career with 13 straight games under 100 yards. Tore his ACL with the Texans last season, and of course is with the Patriots right now. Tyreek Hill, 3 years, $90 million. In 2024, 959 yards last season, his lowest since 2019. His lowest since 2019. So again, it like the history just shows that you don't pay if you pay a guy, after the age of 28, you're gambling. Like, you're playing Russian roulette with these wide receivers. And keep this in mind as well. In college football right now, the game is taking shape as far it is absolutely a passing game in college. It's like it's getting the wide receiver out of college is easy. You can find receivers in college in the draft, and it not necessarily have to be first round picks. So if you're Washington, and I'm not listen, as a fan of the team, and I understand some of these fans who are just, obviously fired up. I'm a fan of the team who are fired up for the season, coming off a championship appearance, a 12-win season. Haven't been this excited about the season, coming into a season in decades, to be honest with you. Franchise quarterback, the culture has shifted. You should be you should be doing cartwheels that you have ownership that is patient and prudent and not rush to just throw money away. Do we know? I mean, can we be reminded how many horrible deals and how much money was wasted by Daniel Snyder over the course of his tenure? I mean, bad contracts Washington used to give out in the offseason, just overpaying guy after guy after guy after guy. I mean, there is a laundry list of players. Albert Hainsworth at the top of the list, Deion Sanders late in his career. I mean, they overpaid. They were the reigning dynasty of winning the offseason as far as free agency. Like, they would win March and April, and just go day one free agency. They're gonna spend all the money, and it produced absolutely nothing but embarrassment, overpaying guys who were past their prime, or in essence betting against themselves. Okay, or competing against themselves as far as bidding against themselves as far as some of these contracts. So the ideal, as a lifelong fan of this team, that I'm going to criticize the organization for not overpaying a 30-year-old receiver when the history of the NFL tells us that you don't pay wide receivers like this age 29, especially let alone 30. Like, no, I actually have to side with the organization on this. It may be a situation where the Commanders take us. I think a deal will get worked out. I don't think they're going to trade him. I don't think he's going to hold out a season. I think some middle ground will get figured out, and they will end up coming up right before the season. It could be, September 1st. right before the season, I think a deal will get worked out. But I don't knock the organization at all. I am 1,000% behind the organization as far as the approach that they're taking. You remember everything around their team has to be centered around Jaden Daniels. They're going to pay Jaden Daniels in 2 years, probably the highest quarterback salary, the highest salary in NFL history, based on the trajectory that he's on. Period. Unless he gets hurt, he stays healthy, he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. You have to pay him. You're gonna have to pay him. You have to think ahead to that. If you're the Washington Commanders team, you have to. You can't overpay. You can't overpay you can't overpay a wide receiver and not have your franchise running back, quarterback, um, not being paid, not under contract yet, or not being paid, not getting him his first big contract yet. It just that it just doesn't work that way. So I expect the deal to get done. Terry McLaurin holding out accomplishes nothing for him. They're not going to trade him. Um, if you're Terry McLaurin, do you really want to play with another quarterback, not like outside Jaden Daniels? Like, I don't think you do. And again, if you're Washington, you're not trading your best offensive weapon. You're just not. So we go down to Dallas, where they have a similar but different situation in terms of a disgruntled superstar player. Now, this one is just, to me, is totally just completely one sided. Uh, in Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons is 26 years old. He's legitimately one of the best pure pass rushers in football. He's one of the best young defensive players in all of football. 52 sacks in 4 years. He's on the Hall of Fame trajectory. And Jerry Jones doesn't want to pay him. And this has become a situation where, you had Jerry out there trying to negotiate directly with Michael Parsons and trying to basically cut out the agent. Michael Parsons has one of the top agents in football, one of the best agents in the NFL. And you're trying there's a reason why Jerry was trying to directly negotiate with Michael Parsons, because he knows Michael Parsons doesn't understand contracts, which Michael Parsons does not, compared to Jerry Jones or agents. That's why you have an agent to negotiate the ins and outs of a NFL contract or a professional sports contract. So, but that's business. Like, I don't even knock Jerry Jones from that standpoint. That's just business. If you have a client that is willing to do a contract and without their agent, then if they're that dumb, then so be it. No, I don't blame. That's not shady business practices out Jerry. That's just business. What I do not Jerry for. By the way, I love this as a Commander fan. To watch Jerry Jones disintegrate basically before our eyes as this narcissistic, just attention-seeking madman as an owner, as he just continues to make bad decision after bad decision and continues to just embarrass himself with the press conferences, with the public shitting on his players, with just it's beautiful. It's actually beautiful to watch. Like I love it. I love watching it because because Jerry, at his advanced age, he's 80 now, or close. He's got to be close to 80 now. It's just completely falling apart, like at the seams. And you can't tell Jerry anything because the Cowboys are the most valuable NFL property in the history of the NFL, and the Cowboys are ratings darlings. They're going to be on national television all the time. They're going to be talked about more than any professional football team. So that's the win for Jerry. Like, you can't just because you haven't been to a NFC Championship since what, 1995 to 95 season, which is going on 30 years now. But yeah, Jerry's like, yo, we winning at the box office. We win in brand. Our brand is the biggest brand in football, one of the biggest brands in sports. So Jerry's good. Jerry's making money hand over foot. Jerry is good from that standpoint. He's good. Got the new Netflix documentary coming up in a couple of days. Him and his Cowboys. So Jerry is out here winning from that standpoint. Not on the field, but winning at the bank. And as long as Jerry's winning at the bank, then you Cowboy fans just got to going to have to deal with Jerry. As long as he has breath and is he's just going to you got to just deal with Jerry. But to watch this disintegration of a guy who it always wasn't like this. You go back to 1989, and again, that's a long time ago. We're talking about 36 years ago. He made one of the gutsiest calls in the history of professional sports, firing a legendary coach and bringing in, not a no-name guy, but bringing in a guy in Jimmy Johnson. And it turned out to be one of the greatest payoffs in NFL history. You fire Tom Landry, you bring in Jimmy Johnson, and you win, 3 Super Bowls in 3 years, a 3 and a 4 year span. You go back to back. So I think I'm not Jerry Jones is not stupid. He's not dumb. But again, Jerry Jones is the reason why books like Ego is the Enemy are written. Those books are written specifically to avoid being like a Jerry Jones in terms of your ego. Like this guy is he can't help it as far as the attention that he's seeking, and he'll never give up the general manager position. He will never give up control of the wheel. And again, this Micah Parsons, you just fucking pay Micah Parsons. It's not algebra. It's not complicated. He's one of the best defensive players in the world, in the league. He's 26 years old. You pay him and keep it moving. Like this is not hard to negotiate. And again, and I'm not the biggest Micah Parsons fan. Um, he is devastatingly talented. The podcast is kind of whatever with that. Talks a lot, but Michael Parsons is kind of like a product of the culture of the Cowboys. They all talk. That's like your owner talks. So if your owner talks, it's going to be like, watch. Yeah, I'm a great player. Why wouldn't I talk? It kind of talks a little bit too much for my liking. Um, but that's the culture. But as far as on the field, I mean, you cannot dispute what Micah Parsons has done on the field. I know he hasn't done anything in the playoffs, but neither have the Cowboys. But in terms of market value, in terms of top players at their positions, great defensive players, I mean, it's undeniable with the type of talent that he is. He can get better. Like there's a world where Michael Parsons could get 20 sacks in a season. Like the guy is a freak athlete. So to me, like that is a devastating. You lose that guy. I know defense is all horrible, but they don't guys like that don't come along that often with that type of talent on the defensive in terms of being able to get to the quarterback and being as disruptive as he is. And in today's NFL, like the most valuable assets to have are a guy, or obviously outside of the quarterback, is a pass rusher. So it's between pass rusher and a great offensive tackle that can protect your quarterback. Those are like the two most valuable assets. Those are the most valuable assets you can have in terms of the importance of your team. If you want to win at a high level, once you get past the quarterback. Quarterback is obviously number one that you have to have to have a championship type franchise or to be able to compete at a high level year in and year out. So, listen, to me, it's a no-brainer that you absolutely pay this guy, and is basically almost a blank check. Like whatever TJ Watt got, he's Yeah, he's 40 to $45 million. Yeah. What are we talking about? And he's young. I think he's younger than TJ Watt. I don't think he's better than TJ Watt, but you know, market value is market value. The third thing, you have the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation. Joe Flacco has been named, was just named the starter. They have a couple guys, Kenny Pickett and Shador Sanders, that are hurt. Then you have, Dylan Gabriel. So it kind of was Joe Flacco by default. Um, Listen, I was away, of course, when Shador Sanders had the preseason game that kind of got overhyped. Made a couple nice throws. Great for him from that standpoint. Him just being on the field, getting the reps, that all matters in terms of his development as an NFL quarterback. But the bottom line is, the bottom line is, it is Shador Sanders, and he's hurt right now. Not a serious injury, but he's hurt right. He can't, got the oblique. It's probably in his best interest to sit the first part of the season and just let Joe Flacco probably get the shit kicked out of him. Um, you can learn from the bench. We've seen it before. We've seen guys learn sitting down. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. We've seen guys learn without playing. So I don't think it's. I actually think that this is probably a blessing. The injury might have been a blessing in the sky for Shador Sanders. Um, Again, look, Joe Flacco is what, 41 years old. We know Joe Flacco, and Flacco's been in the NFL since 2000. I believe his first season was, I want to say, 2004, 2005. I mean, Flacco's been in the NFL forever. So maybe no, excuse me, it wasn't that early. He wasn't with Big Ben. 2008. That was Joe Flacco's first year. 2008. He's almost been the season. Like, this will be year 18, 17 for Joe Flacco. So he's the old man. He's not the long term or even short term solution. He's not even the solution for the season. He's just a guy who is a semi competent quarterback. That is a semi stopgap that you have, that your whichever quarterback emerges, Shador or Dylan Gabriel, or maybe even a guy they draft in 2026, can learn from a Joe Flacco as the aging veteran. But I don't think this is a negative for Shador Sanders, like people want to paint this out to be. And can we please stop with the Shador Sanders? The world is against Shador Sanders. Like, can we stop with that shit? Like, can we this ideal that the Cleveland Browns want Shador Sanders to fail? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what? They don't want him to fail because, so if he plays well, then they will win games and people will like come to their stadium, and Cleveland will be back on the map as a football power. So stop. There's no lie. It's the dumbest shit that certain things you hear is like, what are we, in this conspiracy theory age. No, I don't believe it was him falling in the draft was collusion by 32 NFL owners. I'm not going to relitigate that April night, or those April nights, those draft nights in late April. I but I this idea that the Browns want Shador Sanders to fail, like, I'm like, no. Like, if Shador Sanders is good, that's good. That's great for Cleveland. If he turns out to be a franchise quarterback, like, that's a win. Like, that means your team is going to be good for the next decade. That means your team, possibly with the right talent around him, could possibly, depending on how good he gets, could compete possibly for a Super Bowl, maybe. At worst, a playoff team year in and year out, if he's very good with some of the talent that they have around him. So, like, can we stop with again, what happened in the draft happen, and it's done. If you like, I don't again, I don't buy into this whole NFL is the NFL world is against Shedeur Sanders, let alone the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry, I I'm not, I just don't buy into it, especially Cleveland. Like they didn't have to take him at all. Let alone, I mean, some of the shit that you're hearing, setting him up to fail. Like really, setting him up to fail. Like, listen, NFL does a lot of like the NFL. I mean, and I'm not trying to shoot bail for the NFL. They've done a lot. The NFL has done a lot of foul shit over the course of this up there, well over 100 year history. Done a lot of foul shit, a lot. But drafting a player at the most important position in sports, a guy who right now, based off talent and potential, is their best quarterback option. Um, Drafting him and saying that we are setting him up to fail. That's like, come on, let's let's take a step back and let's take the conspiracy theory glasses off. Let's just just cut through all the bullshit from that standpoint. So that's what's happening in the preseason in the NFL. Um, August 19th, we are again 2 weeks from Thursday. You have of course, the NFL will kick off. Philadelphia hosting Dallas. I didn't agree with that matchup. From obviously it was going to be Philadelphia, but I didn't agree that Dallas should be the matchup. But the game will do ridiculous numbers, so the NFL will win from that standpoint. But in terms of the best matchup, I did not do not like that matchup to kick off the season myself. Best of the 21st century. Um, we continue our series of look at the best of the 21st century in the world of pop culture and sports and music. We go to the series that changed the network. That is Power. Power, of course, debuted in June of 2014. They recently, last year, celebrated 10-year anniversary of the Power universe of the Power universe of the series debut 10 years ago last summer. Um, so this series ran the base series, the franchise series Power ran from 2014 to 2020. Um, then you have three spinoffs. Raising Canaan will have his final season whenever, probably I I would say 2026. I don't think they did 22. They did what March through they did earlier this year. So they'll probably be back sometime in either mid to late 2026, I would guess. But they're gonna do the fifth and final season in 2026. 4 seasons of Power Ghost Book 2, and they're going to complete their third season and final season of what has been the worst of all the Power series, the Force with Tommy leading the helm. That's they really did. They really wanted to end that series after 2 seasons, but they was like, they didn't want to admit complete failure with that, so they're going to do a final third season coming in November. But I don't think it's any question that's been by far out of all the Power series the worst out of all the series. But they do 63. This series really changed the network. Starz before Power. I mean, there are people that didn't watch Starz before Power. And again, Starz had, they had Boss and they had some couple of series like Magic City, some other series. They had some stuff that people would get into, some movies here and there. But Power took Starz to a level that they have never seen before in the history of the network. It was a groundbreaking show from the standpoint that we've never seen. We've seen movies where drug dealers are trying to get out and trying to go legit, and they're caught up in between the underworld and trying to legitimate world from the standpoint of they want to get out, but one last deal, or they not able to get out. We've seen movies like that. We had never seen a series like that. And you look at the complexity of the character, James St. Patrick, James Ghost St. Patrick, and just the dynamic performance by Omari Hardwick. Omari Hardwick does not get nowhere near enough credit for his performance. He's playing three characters. He's playing Ghost, the drug dealer. He's playing James, the husband and father, and he's playing Jamie, the adulterer, who, of course, was sleeping with Angela Valdez. Those are three. Those guys. Those characters were three different characters. He was. I mean, if you really look at this, and I just finished rewatching the show. Basically, got through 5 seasons and into season 6 right now. But you really look at those when you really pay attention to his character. He is three different people throughout the course of the 63 episodes in the in the 6 seasons of the original of the franchise of the original series of the franchise series. Uh, so those are three different characters. Um, and again, I thought that the first, I want to say the first 3 seasons were fantastic. Um, the writing was solid. The characters you you bought into James Ghost's character. You bought into Tommy. You bought into Kanan, excuse me, Kanan, um, Lobos, even some of the villains they had. You bought into those guys, those characters. Now, those first 3 seasons were great. I mean, really, 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 the first 3 seasons, like I thought was some great, compelling television. Was it guilty pleasure? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not certainly was not going to put it on the same level as Stratosphere as of The Wire, Breaking Bad. Absolutely not. Not in that category. Even Game of Thrones or Bad Men. No, those series are on their own Mount Rushmore of television series. But the first 3 seasons of Power and how they developed the characters, and you know, you, you have this guy who is doing the he's living in an impossible life. He's trying to be a drug dealer and a club owner at the same time and having an affair. And he believes that he can he can accomplish this. He actually believed that he could pull this off. That's how crazy. I mean, that's how that is that is how delusional. That's how delusional and crazy this guy was, and intelligent that this guy was, and he listen. I don't. He wasn't as endearing as a Tony Soprano, or you didn't root. I don't think you rooted for James St. Patrick or Ghost because I don't think you rooted for this character. But I mean, you somewhat understood that, like, yo, I really want to go legit. I want to go legit, but it's like, dude, you've done horrible shit like all these years, and you think now that you're gonna be allowed to go legit after all this. You've done like 10 years of just 10 to 20 years of just horrible shit, killing and drug dealing, and you can just be like, you know what, I'm good. Let me open this club. Let me start a new life. Let me let me cheat on my wife. and go live happily ever after with Angela Valdez. And the great thing about the show is it was like, nah, it don't work like that. It doesn't. We not we can't. You're not gonna ever get out the drug business. This affair is gonna cost you everything. Forget about money, but just your family. And the sad the the bad part about the series is about the original series Power is just the ending. Season six, I would say the season six was not as bad as the last season Game of Thrones, but it's pretty close. They make it for and would spoil it and to anybody who hasn't seen Power. Power, here's a spoiler alert coming. Of course, he gets killed in the in episode 610. Um, no one can stop me, and it was a huge mistake by I thought Courtney Kemp Agua Abgo. I'm sorry, I messed up her name. Courtney Kemp Agbo. Thought it was an enormous mistake to kill that character because there's still, if you're gonna make 4 seasons of Tyreek, then there's still some meat on the bone where James becomes a highly decorated political figure and Tyreek becomes an emerging drug kingpin. That storyline was there to be had. Like we're gonna get, I mean, it got delusional after season 3 anyway. Like after, like when Kanan, I, I guess the delusion might have started when Kanan got burnt up and was able to survive, and then so I guess that was part of the delusion. But when he goes to jail, when Ghost goes to jail after season 3, and gets out in the midway in season 4, it really started getting just anything goes at that point. If you're gonna go anything goes, then have season 6 and have season 6 go Ghost versus Tyreek. Like that to me would have been the way to end the series, or been the way, or been a possible storyline that they should have ran with. They should have never killed Ghost's character. Like they shouldn't have killed him the way and continued with the power with the Ghost book with the with the continuation of Power with Tyreek. That was a mistake. Now the prequel in terms of raising Kanan, great. They're coming out next year with Origins that's supposed to show Tommy and Ghost as their rise as king as drug dealers. That's fine. Um, but the 4 years they did with the Tyreek storyline, Tyreek being the lead character of the Power Book 2 Ghost, that was a mistake. And the only thing that salvaged, the only reason why that series lasted 4 seasons was because of Mary J. Blige and the Tejadas. It's the only reason that series was even remotely compelling. And Mary J. Blige, they should give Mary J. Blige whatever a blank check for keeping the interest in that series as a villain. So with that being said, you can't deny that this has been, when we look at most important and most impactful cable series of the 21st century, there's no denying that Power has to be in that conversation. It's not without question. When you look at the original series and when you look at what's been spawned with the spinoffs, so that and they're going to continue making spinoffs. Like I said, they have one on the way coming in 2026 with the Origins series, which you're going to see probably Joseph Sikora on. Well, no, he probably won't make that. You'll probably see Makai Curtis, who plays Kanan. He'll be on there, and you're going to see. So that it's not stopping. Like you legitimately, we could have possibly like 15 years of Power. Legitimately, it's not out there. It's not out of the realms. We've gotten 11. We're going to get minimum 13 to 14. It could get to like 15. You could have 15 years of this when it's all said and done. So our best of the 21st century, best of the 21st century. Next week, we will continue our series, best of the 21st century, with a sports version, with a sports version. not decide what game or what team I'm going to choose, but we will go back to sports next week with our best of the 21st century. NBA schedule was released. Normally now, even when it gets slow in the summertime, normally I don't get into the NBA schedule per se. But this this year kind of stood out a little bit. The reason why I want to talk about the NBA schedule because I believe that this is a extremely important year for the NBA. Um, so a couple of things. It quite possibly could be LeBron James's last year. You had that on the table. Oklahoma City may be beginning a new dynasty. That's a possibility. You have a shift in television coverage. TNT, bye bye TNT, hello Peacock and Amazon, and the NBA begins its 11-year deal. I think worth 76 billion dollars in terms of their television contract. So they yes, the NBA television deal, yes, 11 years, $76 billion. So the Christmas schedule came out. Now, similar to last year, the NBA will be competing against the NFL. Now, we know from a rating standpoint, they cannot compete against the NFL. But last year, the NBA actually did great, had their best ratings since 2019 as far as the Christmas Day games. You had some great games, starting off with Knicks Antonio when Miami goes crazy, and then of course, that you had a classic with the Lakers, Golden State for nostalgia purposes, with LeBron and Curry. So this year, this is how I would have did the schedule for Christmas myself. I would have shifted the schedule. Um, I would have had Golden State, Dallas, San Antonio, LA, Oklahoma City, Houston, Minnesota, Denver, and Minnesota, Denver. That would have been that. That's been my personal preference in terms of how I would shift the schedule. But they're gonna have those, but those not. I mean, you're gonna have those teams. Like again, the NFL, the NBA. Listen, the NBA kind of. I was curious to see what the NBA would do as far as the television appearances with the various teams. I thought the NBA did a decent job, kind of fixed it. You still have LA, so you have LA, Golden State, Oklahoma City, the Knicks tied for the most appearances with 34. And then after that, you have Oklahoma City. Then after that, you have Houston with 28, Minnesota with 28, Denver with 26, Boston 25, Cleveland 24, Dallas 23, San Antonio 22. So the NBA kind of, again, as long as Curry and LeBron are in the league, unfortunately, the Lakers are all in the league or on Golden State and the Lakers. More than likely, the Lakers and Golden State will have the most television appearances. So I kind of conceded that and was expecting that. But the NBA did get it right. Remember, last year, Oklahoma City wasn't even on Christmas Day, which was stupid. Neither was Milwaukee. I can live with Milwaukee not being on there this year. I can live with it. I'm not happy. I'm not crazy about it, but I can live with that. But you got Oklahoma City on there. Oklahoma City again is tied with the Lakers and Golden State for having the most television appearances. So the NBA has bought into Oklahoma City possibly being the next dynasty, which was smart. So this Christmas Day is vital for the NBA. The NBA, you have two NFL games this year. Dallas against Washington at 1 p.m., Minnesota and Detroit at 4:30. if you're the NBA, you can lose the ratings war. You're going to lose the ratings war for those games. This is without question. I don't care if those games were two ass whoopers. You're going to lose the ratings war. What you cannot do is you can't lose the narrative or the belief that Christmas is an NBA day. You can't lose that because if the NBA has a suspect day on Christmas Day, the NFL will go from 2 games to 3 games on Christmas Day. They already own Thanksgiving, so that Thanksgiving belongs to the NFL. Period. They have 3 games on the NFL. They had the 12:30, 4 o'clock, and 8:30, I believe. 12:30, 12:30. I think 12:30. Yeah, 12:30, 4 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. And the NBA doesn't even try to. The NBA doesn't even won't even touch Thanksgiving, which is smart. But the NFL. I'm telling you right now, the NFL, the NFL is greedy. Absolutely greedy. And if they get a whiff, if they get any whiff that they can completely take over Christmas, they will do 3 games on Christmas in 2026. I promise you. They might end up doing it anyway. But is this I mean, this Christmas day is vital for the NBA moving forward. You cannot lose Christmas to the NFL and the NFL takes over Christmas like they own Thanksgiving. The NFL already owns Thanksgiving. They already own January. They already own the Super Bowl in the first week in February. You cannot lose Christmas if you're the NBA. Christmas is vital. This is a vital year for the NBA from that standpoint. It's too much. This year in general is too important for the NFL for the NBA, especially with this transition that the NBA is in the middle of. You have guys that are on the Currys, Durant's, LeBron James are on their way out. Um, we still don't. There still is not a signature team in the NBA right now. That is able to carry the sport as a signature brand. That still is not like you know, Lakers may be the most popular, Knicks may be the most valuable, but as far as signature brand that's competing for championships, that still hasn't been determined yet. Maybe it'll be Oklahoma City. Who knows? San Antonio with Wembanyama coming, possibility. We'll see. But the NBA cannot, again, the NBA cannot lose Christmas to the NFL. They can't. They can't afford it. You just can't afford to do it as a league moving forward. Real thoughts with some real thoughts. Of course, anybody in the Washington DMV in the DMV, the Washington D.C. area, knows what is going on with recent federal agents, whether it's DEA, border patrols, and things that just cops who have taken siege over certain neighborhoods in DC, whether it's been U Street and Acosta, and have basically made it extremely. I'm not gonna go as far as say. I'm gonna choose my words carefully. Not gonna go as far as to say terrorize DC citizens, but have made it very, very, very uncomfortable and very uneasy for citizens of the District of Columbia, especially as school has begun in certain parts of DC next week. All with all schools will begin basically next week in DC next Monday, and you know during election time, we thought it was said that a lot of people sat out. 90 million people sat out in terms of voting, and you thought there were people who just did not think that Donald Trump and his organization and his administration could and would affect them in terms of in terms of what their daily lives. And I'm here to tell you, nothing could be furthest from the truth. Um, I heard somebody say this, and it was a great saying. You don't do politics, politics will do you. Um, this what's going on in DC. You got people you know, being attacked. You got people, you is the amount of anxiety you can feel it in the city in certain places. Definitely in because I'm in education, so you could definitely feel it in some of in the schools, and it's scary to say the least. But you can't say that we are surprised or should be surprised that we could not see this coming or should not have seen this coming. With who we have in office. And here's the bottom line: we know statistically. Look at the data. The crime in DC has been down 30%. Okay, crime in DC is down 30%. Um, you look at the top most violent cities in the country. DC is not in the top 10 of most violent cities in the country. Matter of fact, you want to know? I have a list of the most top 10 violent cities in the country. Newsweek came out with an article a couple weeks ago. You know, number one, you had number one, Memphis, number two, Cleveland, number three, Toledo, number four, Little Rock, number five, Peoria, number Illinois, number six, Springfield, Illinois, number seven, Detroit, number eight, Akron, number nine, Beaumont, Texas, number 10, Rockford, Illinois, number 11, Evansville, Indiana, Dayton, Ohio, number 12, Nashville, Tennessee, number 13, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, number 14, Springfield, Missouri, 15, Chicago, Chicago, Illinois, 16. So, yeah, DC is not even in the top 30. Baltimore's 26. Most of these cities are from red states. And again, you don't see any depiction of extra police in any of these extra these cities like Memphis, Cleveland, and Toledo and Little Rock for obvious reasons. We know what the reasons. For obvious reasons. We know those are red states, and Trump is not going to do that to his base per se, to anybody that even remotely supported him. But understand this: you have to take what is going on seriously. I'm telling you, this you have to take it serious. And it's a situation where, we have so many distractions in our daily lives, especially in this internet era. Distraction upon distraction upon distraction upon distraction. People, I'm telling you right now, politics, and again, I know people are annoyed by politics or are frustrated by politics. You as a voter, you as a American, you as somebody who lives in this country, you still have power. You still hold power. You do. And it's only this administration, what's going on with the attack on black and brown people, with the attack on erasure of history, with the attack on what this Obama backlash as far as when Obama was elected, because that's what a lot of this comes down. That's a lot of this comes back from Obama being elected twice, not once but twice, elected and reelected. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop anytime soon. So I implore anybody, you know, forget about 2028, forget about 2026. worry about 2025 with in local governments and community outreach and things of that nature. School boards, your local judge, your superintendent. Like that stuff, all that shit matters. It all matters. All of it matters. Try to end on a semi-positive note with some with some entertainment. I went to see Denzel's new movie, Highest to Lowest. Spike Lee, of course, their fifth joint venture, that fifth time that they've worked together. First time in a long time, and they hadn't worked together. They hadn't done a film together going back to 2006, Inside Man, which is one of Spike Lee's best movies, to be honest with you. But I didn't have super high expectations of the film, but I was still very disappointed with what I thought had potential to be a good to great movie that was mid at best. I didn't like the actress that they chose to play Denzel's wife. Thought she was too young. Denzel was 70. This young lady, I shouldn't say, but this young lady's 40 years old. So I'm like that. So I wasn't buying her as his wife, number one. Um, you could ASAP Rocky. If you see the movie, ASAP Rocky's basically playing a rapper. Okay, that's cool. Again, there was a lot of potential that this movie had with themes of just money and just overall capitalism and addiction to attention and the social media era and the media. There was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of potential for this movie, to say the least. Again, no one shoots New York like Spike Lee as far as just allowing the scenery and to tell a story. Nobody in the history of film does New York, shoots New York as well and as good as Spike Lee. But and Jeffrey Wright was phenomenal in this movie. Love Jeffrey Wright. And Denzel's gonna be Denzel. Like Denzel's not going to have a bad performance. But I thought I left a little underwhelmed. I thought that I'm not gonna say the plot was far fetched. I'm not gonna say the performances were pretty good, but you could have had. I just wanted more. I just wanted more out of the movie. Um, you could have did some more with the father son dynamic between Denzel and the son that end up getting kidnapped. Again, just as we're casting matters in the worst way. Again, I just was not buying Denzel's wife in this. Just I'm sorry. This guy, like you, if you miscast a role that vital, that could definitely throw the movie for a loop. Also, I'll say this: it was shot on Apple Films. The picture in the movie theater was not very good, and I went to see it in IMAX, and the picture was not. It was not like I'm not gonna call it like like somebody didn't pay their cable bill picture, but the picture wasn't the greatest. And that's when streaming can go wrong at times. Uh, we saw this we saw this on Netflix last fall with the Tyson Paul fight. With the Tyson Paul fight, and they got it fixed for, of course, the Beyonce Bowl, and when the NFL, I think, had Christmas Day on when the NFL had Christmas, it had Thanksgiving Day, and the Beyonce Bowl, and that whole deal. They ended up got the picture fixed, but that picture, the Apple, Apple streaming, and that picture was not the greatest, even in movie theaters. And again, I saw it in IMAX. Again, the movie itself was, yeah, you know, the theme of just it mixed a lot with capitalism, family, the idea of independence versus independence versus mainstream, and it dealt with some stuff that we go through all the time. Having enough time for your family, being a family man versus career versus family. So there was some meat on the bone there was some meat on the bone and some definitely some potential for the movie to be a great movie. It really did. I'm not saying it was a bad movie. It wasn't a bad, but you know, I I would encourage you. I wouldn't go see it in theater if I had to do it over again. Probably wait for it to hit Apple in September. It'll be out September 5th. In terms of streaming. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your week. So long.